Welcome to Cosmic Comics, Games and Collectibles, your zen of geekism. We carry comics old and new, magazines, toys, games like Pokemon, Magic, D&D. Want Godzilla, Ultraman, Star Trek, Ninja Turtles, Funko Pops? You'll find it all here. Shop our Cosmic Sound Room and pick up a record or two. Enjoy our Comic Coffee Lounge with a cup of Sasquatch coffee or a delicious menu item while geeking out over a super cool movie on our big screen. Come by and say hello to Maui. Cosmic Comic, Games and Collectibles. Superman loves us, and so will you.
And good afternoon, everyone. It's a lovely Saturday outside. It's been an eventful day already, but I'm back indoors where I belong. I don't belong out in the sun. I start to tan and get healthy and all that kind of stuff. So I'm back behind the computer screen, basking in the glow of the cathode ray tube, so that I can find out more about you people and all the comic books that you're making that I want to order and then sit up at night and read. So tonight, wait, it's Saturday. It's early in the afternoon. Today, I'm not used to this. Today, we have special guest Nina Daisy Aberlein. No. Yes, Aberlein. Yeah, you thought it was Aberlein, didn't you? I saw you reading the names. Yeah, no, it's Aberlein, so start saying it correctly. Nina Daisy Aberlein is with us today with her book, Sunrise Blossom, Volume 1. So there's going to be more. Hello, Nina.
Hello, that intro was freaking awesome. I loved it.
Well, I just really it's fly by the seat of your pants on this show. So Thank you. I think on my feet, or, well, I'm not really on. I think on the thing that I'm sitting on. So this is your first campaign. Have you done comics before that were not crowdfunded?
Yeah, I've been working on comics for a little over 5 years now.
You're a veteran.
I don't know if veteran is the right word. I think veteran could be an accurate word when I make enough to pay the bills. But that we're not there yet, so okay. I wouldn't call myself a veteran just yet. But before now, I've always paid out of pocket for the printing of my own comics and then just like bring them at conventions. But that's not really much of an option right now. So I thought, hey, crowdfunding's a thing. Let's give it a go. It's been going pretty well.
It is a thing. And I think because of it, we've found, I mean, it's not so much now that, yes, you can raise the money in advance and then make the book, but they're really serving as sort of a marketing tool and an online convention sort of thing. People who back crowdfunded books have decided they like this. Yes, we're paying more for a book than we normally do, but there's something about being involved in the process and making it happen that we enjoy. And, you know, Kickstarter and Indiegogo both are kind enough to say, oh, you like that book, did you? Here's a few million other ones out there. And, you know, maybe you want to back some of those. So there's that, and you're apparently having some decent success with it because I'm looking at my other screen here. You're funded. You have made your goal.
Yay! 101%.
101%. When did you cross over? Did I just miss it, or?
I think it was 2 days ago. I crossed over.
Well, is that truly though the goal you need, or is that just like because I know some people set the goal super low. Just to make something and get it funded, but
I mean, if I could, I would put the total at like 10K or something like that. I wouldn't mind getting 10K at all. I know that I am phrasing that wrong. I would like to get to 10K, but because it's my first campaign, I don't want to put the cart ahead of the horse. So I started with a relatively small goal, so that mainly because whatever number of orders of English copies I'm going to print, And then most of the remaining profits would be spent in spending Italian copies, so that I would have something extra to present at conventions. So technically, I won't really be making any profit out of it. It would just be to print copies to sell.
It's not to print, but I guess my real question is, at this, I'm looking at American dollars, so I don't know what it was in lira or euros or whatever. But
the lira died 20 years ago.
See, well, I'm old. I remember the lira, so come on. But is it enough to where you don't have to go out of pocket anything to
Yes,
do the rest of the work?
luckily, yes.
Okay.
Especially because I am collaborating with you with the shipping. And so shipping to the US won't cost $1 million.
No, it will not. We've got to sit down and talk about those prices
Yeah.
sometime too, but we won't do it here.
Yeah.
but yeah, we cut because it's customized for everybody. I don't know if you ever have noticed that, but the very first word in customer is custom.
You're right.
We just narrow that down to you. We'll make it specific to you. So you've got a video here, and I had turned the sound on in advance, so I'm going to play it.
I have 2 videos, actually, and they're mostly identical. The main difference is that the first one is more cinematographic and more with more of a woomph effect, while the second one has an extra addendum at the end in which I show up in my Pastafarian hat and talk a little bit about the comic. So one or the other, both are fine.
Well, let's play the one with you in it.
All right.
We'll have 2 of you on the screen here.
Yeah.
I'll mute myself.
Oh, hello there. I'm Nina, author of Sunrise Blossom. I've created a 220 plus page romance and fantasy comic. I'll be selling it at 25 euros a copy, 45 euros for 2 copies, or 30 euros for a signed copy with a signed print. So, do you like girls kissing? Do you like harpies? How about fairies? If you said yes to any of these, then Sunrise Blossom is the comic for you! Hooray!
Hooray! You were very into that. That was good.
Thank you.
So, Ivy is the main character.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to ask where the title comes from, because for a moment I thought early on I thought Sunrise Blossom right above her picture there that oh that's her name, but that's not her name. So
it's actually something that I literally spent weeks brainstorming with some friends of mine, and in the end there were several reasons why we chose this picturesque 2-word title. So one of the reasons was that with the words sunrise and blossom, normally both images of like the sun rising in the horizon and colorful flowers blooming and opening and this romantic image come to mind, and so we wanted to try at least to evoke that with people who first see the title. Then Sunrise, both Sunrise and Blossom, because both represent birth and growth, and the story is a coming-of-age story of the main character. So she starts out as a relatively bratty teenager, and throughout the story, she slowly matures and becomes more and more into a grown-up. So a story of her literally blooming into an adult.
We keep saying blooming. I'm thinking Georgia O'Keeffe all the time.
Then Blossom is also her family nickname. So in any scene in which she is with her mother, her adopted mother, her mother always calls her Blossom.
Okay.
And the reason for that, but this isn't seen yet in the first volume because it's something that I wanted to drop the ball on a little bit later on and have people be like, that's why it's called like that, is both because her hair, when it's in the morning, when it's very messy, looks like a flower blooming. And there is a scene in which the leading lady wakes up in the morning and sees Ivy also wake up and slowly stretch, as most people do early in the morning with the very freshly risen sun shining behind her, and have both her hair and her arms looking like a blooming flower, and have the leading lady have this thought of how she looks like a flower blooming with the sunrise shining behind her. And so I guess it's a mixture of all of those elements. And so after weeks of brainstorming, I decided to go with this one.
All right. Now, Ivy, I've seen that she's abandoned by her family. She's raised by owls. They're not really owls, but they are owls. This is a world where animals have two forms, it appears. And
not
I don't know
all
if that's true
animals.
for all animals. Okay, so some
not all animals. The way that not all humans are the same, I guess. I'm not going to go too deep into discussing the details of the world building, because I know it can be boring to hear details of world building when you're not emotionally invested in the story yet. But the way that it works is that every animal has its own representatives to help protect them from mankind. So man can be very dangerous and can be very threatening to the existence of animals, as it has been proven time and time again with the extinction also of several animals. And so every species has a series of representatives that are able to turn into humans to help protect both the territory and the species. Okay. So the kind of logic behind that is like how, for example, also Greek gods, but especially like Egyptian gods, at least in the story of this world, became gods in order to protect the country and the animal that they represented. And so mainly the goal for the reason why these half human, half animals creatures exist is to protect their own species against problems like war, deforestation, pollution, and things like that. But ultimately, whether an individual fights for these causes or not is their own choice. And I am getting a bit too deep into this, and words are not coming to my mouth properly. I apologize. My train of thought is not very properly railed.
They turn into humans, but not fully human. I mean, we're looking at Ivy in this picture here, and she keeps her wings, she keeps her bird legs, which it's a very unique look. And you mentioned harpies early on. I kind of like that, but she doesn't look like she's going to rip my throat out with her talons.
That's because harpies, historically speaking, are a mythological creature that has always been seen with negative connotations. But at the same time, so have like witches and women of certain profession because of how they have been painted throughout history. And that is also kind of one of the themes that is seen in the story because, harpies, scary creatures that are going to rip out my throat. But that's just prejudice.
Well, also because they were ripping out throats. But
well, not really. They're mythological creatures. In real life,
Okay.
they never really existed.
Okay, so we're just saying, we're just creating this. We're telling stories about them that weren't true.
Well, I guess the same way on how like people would say that witches put curses on men and bewitch them and force them to, I don't know, cheat on their wives because they're witches. But that didn't really happen. That's just excuses.
Those were the
that
days of
people
the
invented.
easy out.
Exactly.
When we had to eat, I didn't want to. She made me.
Yeah, stuff like that.
I didn't want to eat that apple, but she gave it to me. It's an old story. So you say she slowly evolves, but she kind of does grow up quickly because she's a bird, and birds' growth pattern is faster than a person's. I mean, within a year, a bird is fully grown.
Well, if it's like a normal regular bird, yeah. But here it's mostly half human, half animal creatures. And so both the way they grow and other physiological elements are normally kind of a mix between the two. Like I have gone on hour-long debates with friends on whether or not breasts in harpies would be necessary. Like, do they breastfeed or do they, feed babies the way that birds feed babies? And it's one of those things that I honestly don't really have an answer to. And I have also been thinking about it for a long time.
I'll be honest with you and risk totally demonetizing the stream here. Y'all have been focused on the wrong end of this thing from where I've been thinking, because I'm like, bird girl, cloaca or vagina? Which one's she gonna have? But that's not my business. I don't.
I do have extra pages that are not in the book, that are heavily not safe for work, that are available to patrons, that does answer that question.
Okay, because I know that she's going to. I mean, it's and this isn't a spoiler. This is part of what's selling the book.
Mm-hmm.
She falls in love with a human woman, and they,
kind of, yeah.
They kind of.
Maybe.
We're going to assume they eventually, maybe, probably, fluttering curtains and violins kind of thing. And I'm just sitting here thinking, the mechanics. But again, it's a good thing that this channel is being marked not safe for children. This is not for kids. If you're 13, you walked past the thing that YouTube told you not to watch. So let's get into some of this story here, because we're okay. Well, never mind. I just pop it right up.
No,
there they
look,
are.
the first panel is her falling asleep.
This is true. She's a little bird here in this first panel.
Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to spoil why she's a bird in that scene because it would be really heavy spoilers. But let me just tell you, if you like harpies in maid outfits, you'll like this.
Harpies in maid outfits. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. I'm in. I don't know that I'm in, because when I think harpies, I also think that the images I've seen of them have been like really, really ugly.
Well, so were the original sirens, but now they're beautiful mermaids. It's good marketing or bad marketing.
I will go with that. Yes. Okay. So the harpies can be pretty, and Ivy's got a cute look to her. So for a bird girl. Now this is the human woman that's with her here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is their first kiss, and her heart is beating so loud that you can actually see sound effects around her. Ba-dump, 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 ba-dump. And given that she's a bird girl, that heart rate is a lot faster. So it probably sounds more like a snare drum go. It's going to be kissing, more kissing, some more kissing. I like this book. It's got a lot of girls kissing in it. Don't have many word balloons to have to get into here.
Well, not in these 3 pages.
And by the way, just before anybody gets too excited, this last panel is her waking up. It's like, oh, that didn't happen. That thing you saw wasn't real yet. She wakes up in bed. It looks like she's a lot younger here than she was in her dream image. I don't know if that's a sort of a manga sort of impact where I know that
a little bit, but it's also because in that last panel, I made her eyes a lot wider to emphasize the embarrassment and surprise. And also, she is 19, so she's somewhere between child and adult, both physically and mentally.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't mean that she was a child in bed. I know that the manga influence is sort of, when a full-grown adult does something embarrassing, they'll redraw them in sort of a chibi kind of style when they're acting.
Yeah, that's true.
And I thought maybe that's what you were going with there.
Yeah, this is something like that in that part.
So she's being raised by this human woman. She was actually raised by the owls first. So this is her second adopted family. So she's going to have some real abandonment issues of some sort or another here.
Kind of. There is a part, a scene near the beginning, kind of a sort of prequel scene at the beginning, but not really, in which her owl mother tells her that she's not really an owl. So she breaks the news to her that she is not an owl. She's a falcon, and that's when she realized that she had been abandoned by her original birth mother, and that made her upset. But the conditions in which she met this human woman weren't the same. So what happened is that whenever one of these half-human creatures becomes of age, it is normal for them to travel to learn about human culture so that they learn how to
human.
Yes, exactly. How to human.
Yeah.
And so she was traveling together with her owl sister while doing this. But this is still at the beginning, and both of them were really dumb, bratty teenagers, and they get into a fight over something that was technically stupid, but meant a lot to them at the time. And so they get in a fight, storm off, and are separated. But because she's a falcon and not an owl, she can't really see well at night and got lost. And that's when she met the human woman.
Okay. Now, they turn into these human they turn human with the animal attributes still around them.
Well, they do learn how to turn actually human.
Full human.
Full human. And in fact, one of the first moments in which she realized that she liked girls was because for most birds in the oh my gosh, words are just not coming to me this evening.
You're a writer. Come on.
Yeah, but I write with pictures. So with birds, harpies of most species in this world, in order to first teach them how to become fully human physically, they need to be suddenly surprised with strong positive feelings. And there is another guy who is technically more officially her human culture teacher, who for an entire week kept trying to prompt these sudden emotional, sudden strong positive feelings into her by doing things like gifting her flowers, getting her other gifts, massaging her shoulders, showing up in a sexy bunny outfit, But none of this worked because she was not attracted to him in the least.
I have not yet seen a guy in a sexy bunny outfit, so I'm going to look forward to that panel.
I've got it all on the webtoons. So if you'll give me half a second, I'll look for that exact panel on the online webcomic platform and show it to you.
But this is sort of following the old fairy tale tradition where enchantments would be broken by a kiss of true love, that sudden flood of positivity. And here it would be like, pushing her into the enchantment through that moment.
Yeah, but
and he wasn't equipped right.
But because she wasn't attracted to him in the least, it wasn't working. And so there we go. And so the human woman was like, how about you let me try? And they did, and it worked. So he started, by rubbing her shoulders, telling her to breathe. You're beautiful, Ivy. But it doesn't really sit well.
She wants to throw up.
Yeah, it really doesn't go well.
Yeah, I'm thinking all the wrong questions. I'm like, how does she get that tube top on with wings? But
well, that's because tube tops are some of the most comfortable, easy to wear articles of clothing when you have wings, because you can't really put on a t-shirt.
No,
like a tube top, you can strip it on from the bottom, put it up from the bottom.
You got to tuck that tail feather in there, and yeah.
Exactly. And so with the teacher, it doesn't work. And so the human woman, the leading lady, tries, and I'll just show you it's about 3 pages. So I may as well show you quickly.
So it's a big seduction scene going on here.
Exactly. And this is also when she first starts noticing her feelings mostly for this woman and realizing that, ladies are nice.
And this is repeating her dream now.
Exactly. The dream, actually, which takes place later on in the story, the dream is just a different retelling of this
dream
scene.
It's a romanticized memory.
Exactly.
And she is. She's fully human. Yay for Ivy.
Yay.
So, the guy obviously liked her, and he was trying to help her. I'm guessing the human woman also liked her, or she wouldn't have bothered.
The human woman and the human man are kind of together.
Oh.
And that is part of the struggle that the main character is facing, because when she first comes into their life, they were just barely starting out. She was there very much present on their very first date. And she was there for most of their first steps in getting in a relationship. And so while she also tries to get in between, both knowingly and unknowingly, it happens. And at the end of the first, no spoilers.
No spoilers. But what does surprise me is that these humans, I guess, are humans in this world aware of this animal interface?
Some are, most aren't. But a very important theme in the story is that some are aware of these and absolutely abhor them because they are different.
Gotcha.
And so the reason why they can't really go out in public in their half animal form is because if they are seen, and there are some of these bad people present, then something really bad could happen to them. So it's a kind of fantasy version of homophobia and racism.
Yeah, it's
kind of. But because it's also not something that is publicly known, it's also not something that can be really fought just yet.
Okay. Now,
and so very much like people of color and gay people for the longest time, because it wasn't something that was really known or seen as even barely acceptable. Like they would have to do whatever they could to hide this aspect of theirs.
Got it. How did the humans know? First of all, how did they know what it would take to make her human, and why would they try to make her human in the first place? I mean, why would even try to know that she could be human? Making her what you are kind of flies in the face of accepting what's different.
Yes, but it also depends on the people mostly. So the answer to that question is present in the very, very, very first introduction to the comic, like at the very, very beginning, in which it very briefly explains the story and the history of the world and how they came to be.
We got Foxtail Girls now. Now we got hits. So we're tuning in now.
So ever since man walked the earth, so did their animal counterparts. They were called extra species. They were revered as gods in some cultures, so like the Egyptian gods briefly mentioned earlier, and abominations in others. So similar to the story of, witches being burned at stake for something that they didn't really do.
Right.
Or here that she's being burned at stake because she looks like a snake, even though she didn't really wasn't really at fault or anything. Many were hunted and tortured for being different and found refuge in isolation. Although mankind has grown and forgotten, they are still among us, sometimes hiding deep inside nature or in plain sight.
Okay, so she's a fully human-looking whatever animal she is.
Exactly. So she's hiding her animalistic features so that she can blend in into human society. But they must still conceal their true nature as their lives are in constant danger. Those living among humans had allies that helped them hide, adapt, and learn from them, enabling the extra species to grow. This led to the forming of packs, and many humans became guides and teachers to those willing to learn. And then it introduces a story. This is the story of a young harpy who, through the hardships and warmth of life, blooms into womanhood. This is Sunrise Blossom. Please enjoy.
All right. Well, we have the Indiegogo link for Sunrise Blossom so that you can enjoy that. And we're at the point where we can talk about the perks on this thing.
Yay!
You can get your digital copy. I know I have so many people always asking, is this available in digital? Yes, this one's available in digital.
There's also the easy-to-read webtoon version, but there are people who prefer a PDF copy of the traditional. Gosh,
Yeah.
what this evening?
It's a layout. It's a different layout, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Because as I showed you earlier, the webtoons format is made vertical so that it can be scrolled from the phone, while traditional comic formats are like traditional comic pages.
And you have to think differently when laying those out because you do different things with the panels. I mean, if you're just reading left to right, left to right, left to right, and that's fine, and you take your webtoons and you adjust your panels accordingly, that's fine. But comics allows you to do dynamic things with panels. So if you had something that really worked well with one panel's looking down at the next one, that won't work if you bring it over to the other layout. And likewise, if you have a 2-page spread, guess what? You scroll down to see one half and you scroll down to see the other half.
Exactly. And like many elements that in traditional comics would have a big woof effect, in webtoons, if you want to have that same effect, you have to do something completely differently. Yeah. So like, as you said earlier, even like a big splash page, because of the sizing on the regular webtoon format would just look like a rectangular panel. But if you want to have like a panel with the same kind of effect, roughly, you would have to play with perspective and do something really, really long. Let me see if I can get an example of that. And that is something that I tried to do in this scene.
I know Scott McCloud showed a panel once where it was an endless panel. And it was like this long scrolling background, and as you scrolled, you kept seeing the character in different positions of falling down this pit until you got to the bottom of it.
Exactly. And here I'm doing something like this. So there's a humid, moist area on the ceiling, and there's a drop falling down and
Another
down
drop.
as the perspective changes and then falls onto the face of the main character.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's perfect way of using comics in that new vertical stack format. Which, when you bring it into the book, it's going to be a little different. It'll be like, the left side of a page, one
Exactly.
long panel, but it'll be shrunk down some. 25 euros for volume 1, copy 1. You are sitting here in America like I am, and you're like, I have no euros to give. Over here in America, euros are these beef and lamb sandwiches that we put in pita bread.
So let me check really quick. So 25
It's
euros.
$30.
Okay, thank you. I was just asking Google. So
Yeah.
about $30, but also keep in mind it's a really big comic. It's 220 plus pages of a book. So it'll be pretty heavy, like roughly a pound in weight, like this thick. So
You'll be able to take out a burglar by knocking it over the head with it.
it's not a phone book, but yeah.
All right, so $30 US dollars for one copy, $37 if you want to get the copy and the print. This is an A5 print, which means it's smaller. As the numbers get bigger, the size gets smaller.
Yes, but I might make them bigger because I initially thought of doing them A5 because that way it would be easier to keep them protected during travels. But I am thinking of making them A4 instead of A5 because the book itself, the size of the book is somewhere between A4 and A5.
Okay.
So if I use a slightly bigger box with a little bit more cardboard protection, I might be able to put the much better as a print A4 size anyway.
Okay, so if the book is shorter, I'll cost you on this one. If the book is a little bit smaller than A4 and the print is A4, you're going to have that extra piece of the print sticking out. And what's going to happen is it's going to get bent around the book during shipping.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So I would have to put
A4,
extra.
Yeah.
So I would have to put cardboard on both sides of the print.
Yeah. Now, if the book itself is A4 exactly, then the book serves as a protection for the whole
exactly. That was one of the reasons why I thought of doing the print A5 in the first place, so that it would be more protected and safer during the shipping. But
I had the exact thing happen with my El Crudo print back here, which was like an A4, and it was shipped with an A5 book, or it was printed with an American traditional sized comic book, and it was sticking out a little bit on the edge here, and it got bent up on the side. I'm like, oh, you know what? I still like it, and it was really just a letter. It wasn't a print. They printed on the back side of it. I put tape on it, stuck it on the wall anyway. And I'm sorry. I'm speaking shipper ease now here, because I think about this kind of stuff now all the time. You can get an original ink page here. So there's only one of these. That's what I was looking at.
No, there's some. There's 4 of them that so far.
Well, one of this picture.
Yes, only one per picture.
Oh, well, let's give you full screen here so people can get an idea of that's a nice size print.
It's not a print. It's all hand inked.
Well, yes, you're right. It's a nice size picture is what I should have said. I stumbled over my words there. And then this one is also, there are different prices. This one is,
I think it was 45 euros.
Yes, that one is $55. That one is $55.
Also the same price.
Yes.
And last one, this one's a little bit smaller.
And that one is 49 US dollars.
40 euros, yes.
40 euros, $49. So now, is that Ivy as a bird?
Yes.
She got a little skirt
in a maid outfit. Look how cute.
That's, I don't know that that's a problem in your world here, but always gets me thinking whenever there are animals that turn into humans, and when they turn into humans, they by nature of the getting past the censor boards, have clothes manifest on them. And when they turn to animals, those clothes are gone. And when they turn back, oh, the clothes are back again, even though I ran 50 miles across a pasture.
I try not to think about it too hard.
Oh.
It would be a lot harder to make my characters become naked every single time.
Yeah, it would. It would. I mean, well, Teen Titans, in the comics, you've got Beast Boy. And he was Changeling during the new Teen Titans years. He changed his name for a while. He would do that all the time. He'd change it to an animal, change back, costume still on. But in the television show, where they've only got him turning into a tiger still so far, 3 seasons in, all he can do is turn into a tiger. He's got to duck around behind a box and shuck his pants off. I'm like, okay, you're taking the whole realism thing a little too far. We know. And apparently, I've got to read some Terry Pratchett, who can explain this thing. And I do love Lord Pratchett.
Terry Pratchett does the best world building.
Oh God!
I mean, not the. I mean, there are. I mean, fantasy world building that I like in my own comedy little way.
Well, Terry had it easy. He only had to build the surface.
Yeah, that's true.
It was flat. It was just there, done, built. Slap it on a turtle, and away we go. You do have some prints, though, and these are available as add-ons, or?
Yes, there is the perk that includes them, but if you want to get another perk, you can also get them as add-ons.
Right. Now I'm seeing, you can get some commissions here as well. Now that's a nice little perk. Your animals, by the way, are very when I see the animal, like the bird in this picture here, up to the right, you're keeping very close to nature. I mean, it's not exactly like nature; it's not photorealistic, but you do a lot of nature studies with your drawings too.
I've done a lot of animal anatomy studies, though, because this book focuses on birds. I've done mostly bird anatomy studies, so like falcons, owls. What are the Monty Python birds again?
Parrots. No, those were dead.
No, the Monty Python ones. The movie with the coconuts. Swallows.
Swallows. Yes. Okay.
Swallows and swallows.
The fully laden barn swallow. Yes.
Yes, exactly. So mostly a lot of bird anatomy studies. But
and you kind of Disneyfy it too, because these are birds that have to be expressive and posed in different ways. So
yeah, a bit. But I do have various scenes in which other animals are fully visible in their animal forms. Like there's this scene in which she's flying around with a friend of hers who is half cat. And there's also a fox who's part of the group. So I've practiced pretty much all animal anatomy, all involved animals anatomy as much as I could, but I did put a lot more focus on the birds.
Okay, so I guess these animal avatars, these ambassadors to humanity, they somehow rise above the food chain. And by what I mean by that is you've got a bird with a cat showing up at the same time. I've watched enough Tweety and Sylvester to know that the cat's got one thing on its mind, and that is eating the bird.
Hold up. I've got something exactly for that. Hold up. Give me 1 second. 1 second.
Okay. Because it's like, foxes and rabbits getting along, dogs and cats sleeping together, total chaos.
So, there we go. Please forgive the comic sounds. I am fixing the comic sounds in the editing of the comic. There is no comic sounds in the printed version.
It will be differently lettered.
Yes. Mistakes have been made and mistakes are being rectified. And also because these are pages from over 2 years ago, the art is not as great as it is now, But that's one of the nice things about the comic. Like going from the beginning to the end, there's a lot of improvement that is very visible.
Okay, so here he is. He's seeing seeing her in her bird form.
Exactly.
And
But he doesn't know that she's not just a regular whatever bird. And she can't really fly away because her wing was injured the night before.
So thump, and then she's boom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they don't eat the. They won't eat the avatars, even though they're of, their food type.
I mean, I guess you could if you wanted to, but the same thing could be said about humans.
Ew, yeah, I know.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Like, ew, that's the kind of same reaction they would have.
So he no longer sees, as soon as she changes, he no longer sees her as bird, but
exactly.
You're shifter.
Exactly. And like right under there, the first illustration is that same character.
This is the cat in the maid costume. Something for everybody here. And Fiona, you got a lot of people in maid costumes. Are they cleaning house somewhere, or?
Well, that's because I'm not going to say why, but there's an entire arc in the story in which the main cast has, for some circumstances, have to wear a maid uniform. And even though it's for under tragic circumstances, I think it's really cute. And so I tried to draw as many characters as I can in that uniform just because.
It's the same uniform. They're passing it around.
No, luckily no.
Okay. Here are the images again that we just saw you holding of the original inks. Mm-hmm. Be clear about that. That's just. I know they're in love, and I know she's a bird. That's just a sweet picture there. We won't get into the whole.
Well, there's nothing sexual in that embrace. It's just an affectionate hug. The same way you might also hug your cat.
Exactly, but we know that I can hug my cat, and then later at night, my cat's not going to turn into like that Star Trek cat lady, and then climb into bed. And I'll hug her differently. I don't know. Alan Moore touched on this in Swamp Thing. And I know we're talking on the very adult and too deep aspect on this whole interspecies thingy going on here. But there was the story arc where Abigail Cable was caught with Swamp Thing, and she was arrested and put in jail. And they were trying her for, whatever it was that you get tried for. It wasn't bestiality because he's a damn plant. And Batman, of all people, intervenes because she's taken back to Gotham for whatever reason. When she's arrested, she's arraigned in Gotham, and Swamp Thing goes to Gotham and starts raising hell. And Batman's talking to the police. He's like, "You really should let her go." And they're like, "But she did this thing." He's like, "Yeah, she did." Okay, well then you need to go talk to so and so, and he's bringing up all these other super characters that are aliens. And then he says, "Oh yeah, and then there's that guy in Metropolis. What's his name?" And, when you talk about, we have to tell someone they can't sleep with Superman and he's got this kind of power level. Yeah, okay, we're going to stop now. I thought that was just a really fun way to deal with the physics of a world where you have sentient beings that aren't all Homo
Very
sapiens
clever.
sapien. That made it, you can't, yeah, you're right. It's not the same maid outfit because it's in different sizes. It fits her as a bird. You got more panels. This is going to be a black and white book, though. Now, right? I mean, I've seen the color panels, but this is all going to be.
Alas, it is a very big book, and printing it all in color, I would not be able to afford that. Even with a crowdfunding campaign, like even like if I still reach the same goal, I would have to pay out of pocket to be able to print everything if I were to do everything in color. Also, because only the first half of the pages were originally done in black and white. So if I were to do a full color run, it would mean that I have to spend another year or so coloring all the older pages.
How close are you to being done with it? I mean, is it a complete story that you just have to print now, or?
The first volume is all done.
Okay.
I am currently working on the editing, so fixing it into the proper page format, and also redoing, alas, a lot of the lettering, both because the bubbles in the earlier pages were not very well done, and because I use Comic Sans.
Yeah, it's got a very PowerPoint look to the bubbles. Those were dropped on there with a computer program. I love her overreaction here. It's like, so are you gay? And she's like, I don't know what that is. What do you mean? and she's like, what? Is that even a thing?
She was just focusing on the cars while the motor was, the hamster wheel was rotating in her head.
And she's just like totally overreacted about the whole thing. But then, of course, she tells the cat lady at night that she thinks she is. So it's not the human woman that she learns about this with. She learns about it not from the owls, but from this. She's going to meet a lot of people in this book because it's how many pages again? Remind me. Like
200 and a little over 220.
Yeah, long.
Sorry, not 100. Sorry, a little over 220.
220 pages.
220.
Perfect. This, by the way, is your sticker, decal, T-shirt, whatever have you designed. This is your iconic image that you really need to be pushing, as long as it's got the sunrise blossom on it, so people know what to Google.
And it's the cover design. And for any artists who might be viewing, I have a Draw This in Your Style contest going on at the moment, which ends at the same time the campaign ends, so on the 9th of June. So if you redraw the cover of the book in your own style, you get a chance to win a free comic of the book, completely free of charge, free shipping, everything.
Excellent. That'd be so cool if J. Scott Campbell did this in reverse. Just said, okay, I'll do somebody else's.
Actually, he launched his Draw This in Your Style campaign literally like 1 week after I released mine. And I was like, everyone's going to do his now.
Yeah. Well, just hit him up and say, hey, I was doing this first. How about a picture? Okay, so if you're in the chat watching this, Mike, looking at you, you're already there. If you're watching this on replay, the link to Sunrise Blossom Volume 1 on Indiegogo is in the link, right? Go past her, further down. Under the video, it's under the big black square, okay? It's in the description of the video. Click on that. It will take you over here to the campaign. There are 18 days left. I'm going to guess you're probably going to go in demand for a little while since you're already funded.
So I'm going to go in after the campaign is done. I'm going to go in demand for, I'm assuming, at least a month or so.
Okay.
Because it's going to take me some time to finish the editing because it's a lot of stuff. I am currently roughly 1/3 through editing all the pages, just like fixing small mistakes, redoing the lettering, stuff like that. But then I also have to translate everything into Italian.
Well, that's easier for you.
Yeah, but it's going to take time.
Yes.
So
just run it through Google. Run it through.
It would actually be a lot faster to do it myself without going through Google. And so it's going to go in demand for a while. It's going to be in demand for at least a month until everything is completely ready to ship.
Okay. Well, perfect. Nina, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing.
Thank you for having me,
Ivy, with us. If you're watching in the chat and you've got nothing else to do, we're going to close the stream and open up a brand new one because in 4 minutes we are going to be talking with Richard Perrotta.
Oh, awesome! You're going to see me in the comments.
Okay, well, we'll see you there. We'll just end it right here and see you all again in about 5 minutes.